Both of these are Spyderco Para Military 2s. Normal Para Military 2 and its standard version comes in S30V steel. It's also offered in S110V steel. Neither of these are that. This is a Para Military 2 in M4, carbon fiber handle scales. M4, CPM M4 is a high carbide tool steel. One of the steels that I really prefer using. I was really looking forward to this coming out. M4 is a good all-around steel. I mean, its biggest flaw is that it's not stainless, low chromium content. But outside of that, and quite frankly, that non-stainless, it's not a rust bucket, and the fact that it's not stainless opens you up to patinas. So that's an interesting aspect to it if that's the way you want to go. Some people like patinas, some people don't. With sharpening M4, my normal pattern is coarse diamond out through extra fine, and then Spyderco ultra fine, and then strops. The edge that I find at the edge that that leaves is what I really prefer. And I often start with coarse because the idea is if you're only doing touch-ups, let's say you're only working with the ultra-fine stone, you're not removing enough metal to get the fatigue steel off the edge. This is nothing new. People, a lot of people have heard about this. A lot of people know about it, and it's something that's dictated my sharpening for a long time. But I've begun to question recently. One, if you're talking about a steel like ZDP 189, and you're talking about fairly rough use with it, that's fine. That idea, holding to that idea is fine. But with something like M4 has a fairly good toughness rating, given that it's a high-speed steel. I mean, it's not a weak steel. So that, plus the fact that this is a folding knife. I mean, I'm not blowing through zip ties every day. I'm not cutting through wires with it. So my use is it's controlled. It's a deliberate thing. So I'm not sure if so much concern about toughness is valid. So I thought to myself, I'm going to start playing around with not being so aggressive with the sharpening. So to sharpen this time, I started with a DMT extra fine stone. I then moved on to a DMT extra fine, and then Spyderco ultra fine. Basically, I just cut the top off of my sharpening. Normally I would go coarse, then fine, then move on to the rest, and I just cut those two off the top. But that's a significant difference in the amount of steel you're removing. And I'm still forming a burr with those other stones. I mean, I don't think that I'm slacking on it. I'm just hopefully taking out some of what's unnecessary off the top. I then moved on to a series of strops and moved through that, ending with 0.005 micron. The edge that comes up on M4 it's really nice. M4 sharpens very well and takes a hell of an edge. It's really one of the reasons that plus the edge retention that really makes me love M4. It's the edge that comes up on it gets very sharp very quickly. A lot of sharpeners really appreciate M4 for that attribute of it. So I'm very pleased with this. This was an exclusive that came out that Spyderco had put out, and they really did a good job with it. I really prefer carrying this model. It's really nice. This Para Military 2 is in CRU-WEAR. CPM CRU-WEAR is the steel. CRU-WEAR has been around for a while. It's like M4. It's low chromium, decent amount of carbon, vanadium content, and it too has a pretty good toughness rating. I was looking forward to using CRU-WEAR. I've never used it before getting this model, and I had heard that it sharpens very well and that it gets very, very sharp. So I was looking forward to what I would find. I was thinking given the composition, that it would sharpen similar to 3V, but I wasn't sure. I mean, that was just a thought I had going into it. So I got the knife, and I followed my normal sharpening for M4, going from coarse diamond out through extra, extra fine. And then I wanted to give this a bit of a finer edge. I wanted to see what that would do. So I moved on to the Spyderco double stuff, working with the medium and then the fine, and then moved on to the ultra fine. I just wanted to give it a little bit less tooth and see what would happen with it. I then moved on to a series of strops, ending with 0.005 micron. The edge it came up on it was great. It was, you know, hair whittling sharp, and there wasn't any issue there. It wasn't quite what I wanted. I mean, I was expecting a little bit more, or maybe something different from it. So I carried it for a while, and then I wanted to do this video. So I thought I would do some cutting with it, just because the Para Military 2 has excellent blade geometry. I wouldn't say that the Para Military 2 is a dedicated task-specific knife. It makes for a very, very good everyday carry knife, general use, and still has really good blade geometry. So I wanted to work, like I said, I wanted to do some cutting, and what I worked on was wood. Just working away at it, trying to look for differences that I felt, looking for any weaknesses in the knife, weaknesses in the pivot. The knife performed great. CRU-WEAR performed great. There was no issues with chipping. There was no issues with the tip. The ergonomics of the knife are outstanding. It's nothing new to me. I mean, I've been carrying Para Military 2s for a while now, and the ergonomics have always held up very well. It's a great aspect of the knife. So the knife performed great on the wood. Now, something else that's really great and worth mentioning about the Para Military 2 is its carryability. It carries very well in the pocket. It's really something that's worth noting. So at any rate, I went to resharpen the knife after all that cutting, and in not liking what had gone on, or not really liking what had gone on with the double stuff, I went ahead and went back through the diafold sharpeners, starting with coarse, making my way down to extra, extra fine. And then I moved on to the Spyderco ultrafine stone. After I got finished with that stone, I jumped back to the extra, extra fine and went through another rotation with that, and then moved back to the ultrafine stone. I don't follow an instruction manual when I'm sharpening. I do it off the top of my head. I'll make it up as I go if I want to. So I understand that doubling up those really fine stones is going to affect the finish. I'm not, you know, I'm taking it to a different level of fine by going through those stones twice. That's what I knew that inherently in my mind. That's what and that's why I went through it, and that's exactly what happened. After those stones, I moved on to strops, and again went through a series of strops, ending with 0.005 micron. The edge it came up on CRU-WEAR was absolutely where I wanted it. I'm not sure if doubling up those stones is going to be necessary every time, or if I'm going to do that every time, but oftentimes when I sharpen, I'll just experiment and do little things just to see where I land, to see the difference that it makes, and that's what this was. But it did do a good job on the edge, so maybe in the future just a little bit more time initially on the fine stones. Maybe that will give me what I'm looking for. So both knives, I mean, I'm very pleased with both models, and Para Military 2 is an excellent knife. The lock on it as well, the compression lock, is probably amongst my favorite locks, maybe my favorite lock, given the model and given how it's used. I really, really enjoy the compression lock on this model. So Para Military 2 is an excellent knife. Great ergonomics, great blade geometry, offered in a lot of different kinds of steel. So whatever flavor you want, if you're paying attention, you kind of have a chance to get it. It's smart by Spyderco to do that. So both models are really good. I'm really glad to have gotten both. And yeah, if you haven't owned one, if you haven't tried a paramilitary 2, it's one that I would highly suggest.